Meaning of life. The question of the meaning of life is easy to answer for many people. It is a matter of enjoying life as much as possible, being happy, having fun, since everything ends with death. Money, power, and fame are goals that are worth striving for. And when you achieve them, you prove that you have achieved something, both to yourself and to others. But this video is dedicated to the viewers who are not satisfied with these fleeting goals. Those who sense a spirit, a soul in themselves, that is striving for development and is going to outlast this life on earth. This feeling inevitably leads to the question, why am I here on this earth? What is the superior meaning of my existence? First, I would like to consider the magnificent creative possibilities we have here on earth. If we are powerful in spirit, we can be directional, upward leading, through our sensations, whether in interpersonal relationships, in dealing with nature, or in true art. Through our brain, we can shape our intentions into thoughts, words, and actions on earth. The range of our actions is very wide, ranging from cruel malice to pure, graceful tenderness and delightful purity. We also have the ability to anticipate the expected consequences of our actions and to weigh the pros and cons. This enables us to make conscious decisions in life for the benefit or to the detriment of others. Our ability to make conscious decisions is by far the most outstanding characteristic of us human beings. An awakened spirit is provided with additional mental aids that make it easier to make decisions. Consequently, we can direct the all-animating spiritual creature power into the power of our will, which, as sensations, are the starting point for the thoughts, words, and actions generated in the physical body.
In all simplicity, picture to yourselves how the pure power of the Creator flows through you, and how you guide it with your thoughts in a good or in an evil direction. There you have it all, without trouble and without racking your brain. Consider that it lies with your simple intuitive perceiving and thinking whether this mighty power will evoke good or evil. What a furthering or destructive power is thus given to you.
The meaning of our life is intimately connected with the meaningful use of this creative power, which facilitates our internal or external activities. But what constitutes a meaningful application? The spirit chooses in which direction to direct the strength of its intention. Using 3 people as examples, I would like to demonstrate several possibilities. The first person lives by the ethical principle, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. From a Christian perspective, this would come close to the guiding principle, love thy neighbor as thyself. The aspiration of this person is aimed at the inner development, the refinement of their character. Through this application, the creative power remains noble and pure and can ascend to spiritual levels. The second person leads a life that is generally regarded as exemplary. They are hardworking, family-oriented, considerate, and caring, and live according to the motto, "The most important thing is that my family and I are doing well." Since they do not believe in a continuation of life after death, their goals are exclusively of a material nature. At the end of their lives, the material values they have created will be passed on as inheritance to the children, with which the meaning of her life is fulfilled. The applied power of creation is purely directed at material things. Therefore, it cannot be directed back at higher levels. The third person adopts the attitude, "I'll take what I can get, even if I'm not entitled to it." This results, for example, in the armed conflicts, which in turn result in the total expenditure on arms. In the economy, this principle, carried out in a legal or criminal way, leads to competition and cutthroat warfare. People with this base attitude are even partly economically successful and socially respected. Which of the three principles of life do you consider to be useful? How should your life partner, neighbor, or boss behave? Many would certainly hope that the people in their environment transform the power of creation into charity, which offers a harmonious balance of give and take. Being only focused on material benefits does not make sense holistically, that is, from a higher perspective. A large part of our lives is spent on daily routines, whether at work or at home. Here, it is not only important what we decide, but also how we carry out our daily work. If we do it grumpy, irritated, and dissatisfied, we channel the creative power into lower channels and in the long run become unhappy ourselves. If, on the other hand, we are balanced, grateful, and satisfied in our daily life, we direct the force upward, which then has a retroactive strengthening effect on us. The desire to behave in a meaningful way towards each other should not be difficult in this case either. Everything we do and how we do it is shaped by our will from the same creative power, whether we go through life grumpy and unkind, with an egotistic attitude, or joyful and grateful, striving for balance and improvement. If we look at nature, we primarily find the latter principles. A harmonious balance can be found in all cycles of nature, where give and take always complement each other. Improvement and beauty are other goals of nature. It is not only purposeful, but also beautiful, such as the beauty of a flower or a butterfly. In today's world, the pursuit of material goals usually prevails. Beauty and spiritual improvement are overshadowed by consumption and having fun. As we have painfully realized in recent decades when dealing with the environment, it does not make sense to disregard natural cycles. Processing raw materials that end up in the sea as plastic waste after a short period of use contradicts this natural principle of a harmonious cycle and the goal of improvement. The essential thing about mankind, however, is not only their earthly body and the material surroundings, but the spirit, which has the ability to use the power of creation. With it, they decisively control the conditions on earth. These spiritual abilities are increasingly withering away. The natural balance and flow of power falter. Charity and the striving for beauty are drowned out by mind-oriented thoughts of striving for power, vanity, greed for money, hatred, brutality, gloating, envy, egotism. All this could be referred to as mental pollution. The mental garbage produced by this wrong will of the people cannot fit into the fine material cycle of harmony. This misdirected creative power gathers more and more to the dark, subtle levels which have retroactively bad influence on us humans. Earthly low thoughts oppress and burden. Thoughts of joy and love, on the other hand, inspire us. You can find more detailed explanations in my video, Thoughts Connect Body and Spirit. In summary, to direct the power of creation into superior pursuit indicates the way to a higher meaning of life. Each of us, in any situation of life, at any time, can give form to superior desire, superior thoughts, and superior deeds in the world.
He alone, as the only bridge between the luminous heights and the gross material earthly, should and could provide the healthy, fresh connection. Only through him, in his special nature, could the pure life from the source of light pulsate downwards into the deepest gross material, and from there upwards again in the most glorious, harmonious, reciprocal action. He stands as a link between the two worlds, so that through him these are welded into one world.
However, the fulfillment of our task as the link between the spiritual and the material world depends on our conscious decisions. If we use the power of creation for noble things, we fulfill our task and are useful parts of nature. When we bring harmony to the spiritual planes, which are also called the kingdom of God by religious people, into the material world on earth. In the most important prayer of Christianity, the Lord's Prayer, those praying pledge the words, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," to precisely this fulfillment of the task of mankind. It is solely up to the internal feeling of those praying whether they realize these heavenly conditions of charity and harmony in their everyday life on earth or not. For the most part, mankind has not recognized the meaning of life, and it is far from being fulfilled. The problems of mankind today point this out to us and speak an increasingly clear language. Independent of the current turbulent conditions on earth, everyone can fulfill the meaning of life for themselves. However, and always guide the pure power of creation into noble things through their actions. This natural, noble attitude enhances every earthly activity, no matter how difficult it may be. To be happy is often regarded as the meaning of life. But isn't that a selfish, one-sided goal? Nature only ever knows the harmony of giving and receiving. The path to happiness is open to everyone, but not without giving selflessly. According to the words of Jesus, "What man sows, he will reap." Everyone should ask themselves the question, what must I sow? That is, give in order to reap happiness. We do not become sustainably happy as soldiers of fortune or conscienceless artists of life, but as a soulful human being who gratefully fits into the harmony of our wonderful creation. By always trying to enrich our environment on Earth, we fulfill the higher purpose of life, and as a natural consequence, will become happy sooner or later. This way, we progress further in the development from the unconscious to the self-confident human spirit. The latter will then also be blissfully aware of the spiritual core in the body on Earth and gratefully and joyfully fulfill its task as a link between the spiritual and the material world.